John Kass and Lauren Cohn. 89
John Kass, Lauren Cohn, 89 WLS, and you know what, as promised, when we talk the Chicago way, we bring the Chicago people, even if they're in Africa. Mel Reynolds, the congressman, former talk show host, former Chicago congressman, a crossover vote getter, getting votes from blacks and whites alike, was disgraced in his criminal case in Cook County.
Lost his seat in 1995 after convicted of statutory rape.
Then what does he do? He ran again for Congress last year. A year after he ran for Congress, he ends up in Zimbabwe this past spring, right?
Apparently doing business dealings involved in construction projects there and other of the sorts.
He was a supporter of Robert Mugabe, or at least he said so. Said some very kind things about him. And then ends up being deported, charged with
pornography. Well, those charges were later dropped. There were issues of pornography. There were issues of not paying a hotel bill.
And we haven't heard from him. So you know what? When we want to hear from somebody, we put him on the line. Mel Reynolds, say hello to Chicago.
John. How are you, John?
Fine, thank you, sir. What is going on with you?
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine now. Let me clarify something right away. Regarding the spying the allegation of why am I hiding, I was listening to you guys earlier, and John had mentioned briefly he wasn't quite sure what that spying meant. I sent a press release out several weeks ago, and I also sent a copy of that press release and a copy of a letter that confirmed that the Zimbabwe government was about to charge me with spying, espionage, if I had not been gotten out of the country right away after I pled to immigration charges. Regarding the other charges, you must remember now that the news media went with the charge of pornography, or images, I should say, and they also went with the charge of owing bills without confirming any of that. There's not a news organization in the world, including in Chicago, that ever saw one image at all, that ever saw one picture that was allegedly on my cell phone at all. That they never saw a hotel bill. They never talked to anybody in a hotel. Go back through your news reporting and you will see there was never any fact. And the reason that that's interesting is because when I sent to the Chicago Tribune a copy of a letter that I sent to you, John, confirming that the Zimbabwe CIO, the Central Intelligence Organization, was in fact looking for me. I talked to a reporter about a month and a half ago, and the next day she wrote a story, but she didn't mention the spying part and the allegation. And I said to her, why? And she said, well, I couldn't confirm the letter, so therefore I couldn't go with it. And I said, well, everybody else in the media, they couldn't confirm any images, they couldn't confirm any videos, they couldn't confirm any hotel bills, because you can't confirm what doesn't exist. But yet they went with the story. Everybody went with the story.
Well, your story, here's the deal, okay? Let's get to your intramurals with another reporter. I'm not there, she's not there. Let's just talk about, okay? So I know that you're wounded or something, or you feel upset, but let's get to the real story here. What are you doing in South Africa, and why did you have to run from Zimbabwe then? Just say it to the people. Let them hear it.
Well, the reason that I was taken out on a Sunday, and as you know, John, no one leaves jail on a Sunday, Saturday or Sunday because of staff shortages. But I was taken out by an opposition leader in Zimbabwe, opposition to Mugabe, because they leaked to me and found out that on Monday, I think it was the 24th, I got out on the 23rd February, that they were getting ready to charge me with espionage. If you read the letter of the press release that I sent, you will see why. They know that I know that some very prominent Americans, including very prominent Americans in Chicago, that John could probably read the press release, and even though it doesn't say names, John will be able to figure out exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm not a good soothsayer, but you continue. Your argument here is that you have a list of Chicagoans who were bribing Mugabe? Is that it?
I have the names of a couple people from Chicago, and government who made direct payments to Robert Mugabe in order to get blood diamond claims in Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe got wind of that after they arrested me. By the way, I was never arrested for pornography. I was charged with that statute after I was arrested for immigration. And the reason that they charged me with that was because they knew that they had to discredit me some kind of way. They had to. And they knew that the American media and other media, all they had to do was put the word sex next to my name and they would cover anything without any facts at all. So I'm not in South Africa, as a matter of fact. I am in Africa. I'm on the east coast of Africa, by the Indian Ocean right now. I'll be moving to another location very soon.
Mel, where does it stand with your coming back to Chicago or going to Washington?
Well, actually, I'm planning to go to Chicago. I've been waiting. The American government, if you read the press release, the American government seems to be dragging its feet because they don't want me to bring one of my lawyers, that name is in the other information I sent you, because he has proof of what I'm about to reveal in America. And so they've been playing games with giving him a visa. They've been giving people visas to go on vacation from Zimbabwe to South Africa to Mozambique, as if it's, and that's no big deal. But they have refused so far to give this lawyer, this professional, in good standing, sworn attorney, a visa to accompany me in the Chicago, and we're going to go to Chicago, and then we go to Washington. We're going to be meeting privately with some elected officials, because this is a major situation, and because there's some major questions about our relationship with Zimbabwe and the Obama administration, as well as with private donors.
You know what I'm really interested in, Mel? I'm interested in facts. Yes. Real facts.
Facts.
So I want to know. I don't want to just hear theories and, I don't want to hear drama. What I want to hear is, and I think there's people in Chicago who are listening want to hear, and we're going to get to it when we come back in the next segment, correct? I want to hear names of who you're saying is dealing in Chicago illegally on the blood diamond issue. You got to put names out there, and you got to tell us a little bit more than just I have to run.
I've known you for a long time.
20 years at least.
Yeah, at least.
20 years at least.
And I will tell you, I'm not going to give specific names now. I will in person in Chicago as soon as I get this visa done with my lawyer, and that should be very, very, very soon. I don't want to announce when I'm coming back because I don't want some people to prepare for me coming back. This is going to be a very serious allegation, and I will have facts and pictures, as a matter of fact, of various meetings that went on in New York City and so forth.
Well, Mel, hold on for me briefly because we're going to come right back with more Mel Reynolds.
At 10:15 from the Healthy Trinity Traffic Desk, I'm Jennifer O'Neill. Inbound Kennedy, O'Hare to downtown, 35 minutes. Heading in on the Eisenhower from Thorndale, that's a 50-minute trip. Same with the Stevenson, 355 to Lakeshore Drive is 50 minutes. Traffic brought to you by the College Illinois Prepaid Tuition Program. Start planning for college today by enrolling in a prepaid tuition plan. You can purchase anywhere between 1 and 9 semesters and pay for college little by little as your child grows up. Enroll today at collegeillinois.org. Your 89 WLS Weather Channel forecast, areas of fog. We could see some thunderstorms developing this afternoon, a high of 68. Tonight, cloudy, rainy, a low of 50. It's 51 at O'Hare, 58 at Midway. Next report at 10:25 on 89 WLS.
89 WLS. Weekday mornings 9 till 11. It's John Kass and Lauren Cohn on Chicago's Talk Leader 89 WLS.
Well, we're here, John Kass, Lauren Cohn, 89 WLS, with our guest, Mel Reynolds, former congressman. He's on the phone with us, and he says that if he gets to come back to the United States, he's going to name names about public officials or elected officials, I believe, who are involved illegally in Zimbabwe in the blood diamond trade. Do I have that correct, Congressman?
You have that right. I'm not suggesting any elected official. I'm talking about people who contribute to elected officials. That's what I'm talking about.
And people that we know. People that I've written about that I know.
People that you've written about, and you will be amazed. You will be amazed at the network and the web. Something you've discussed before, something that we will know all about the different connections and why this particular person can be in the position that they are. But they can also influence the State Department. Someone ought to ask the State Department, why are they holding up this visa? They're aware that I'm going to have this press conference. Why are they holding up this visa? Why won't they let me just have the lawyer, certified lawyer, that represented me in Zimbabwe that I know very well, and who was actually in my room when they first came on the immigration charge. And so why won't they do something about letting this gentleman have a visa? What's going on here? So this is a very discretionary thing. They can decide that they don't want to give someone a visa, and they don't have to give any reasons for it. They can just. And so I've talked to the visa people in South Africa. I'm going to be talking to immigration people. I should say visa people from other parts of Africa as well. But something is going on here that we can't quite figure out. But also, let me just make this quick point. I'm going to be dealing with two major issues when I come back. One is the press's reporting and how responsible or irresponsible they were in reporting what they reported. There are standards. Just because someone's background isn't perfect, you can't just write anything about it. You have to. There has to be standards.
Wait, are you the victim? Is this about you being the victim of the press, or is this about you being hounded by some Zimbabwe death squads? What is it?
There are two issues. I know the press is very defensive. The minute you start criticizing, all of a sudden they start.
No, I just want some plain.
Say you're a victim.
No, I want some plain.
John, I'm talking as plain as I can.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that the news media has made a tremendous misjudgment in how they reported my situation as far as the charges were concerned and the manner in which they came about.
Mel, let me ask you this. Mel, what are your investments still in Zimbabwe? What are your investments still in Zimbabwe? Where are you in this construction project with the Hilton Hotel? Because you were traveling to and from Zimbabwe, apparently in investment deals. Where do you stand now?
17 times in 4 years I've traveled to Zimbabwe. 275,000 miles I've traveled in 4 years. The Hilton people, when you report a story like that, and then you go to the Hilton and say, are you still going to be associated? No, and of course they're going to say, oh no, we're going to change. The fact of the matter is that I have a contract with the developers in Zimbabwe that I own a certain percentage of the shares of the new, if the Hilton, in fact, deal does go through, I own a certain percentage of those shares. But there are other deals. The Zimbabwe government has tried to gut all of my holdings. They've robbed my bank account. They've looted my bank account, I should say, my company bank account. So I'm going to be dealing with all of these issues on a factual basis, if you will, John.
The years ago, or was it how long ago when you used to praise Zimbabwe and Mugabe, the dictator there?
Well, let me just say this. I believe that Zimbabwe was correct in taking back its land from colonialism. That was my choice. How they did it, and the manner in which they did it, has always been suspect. But there is no reason why British subjects should have held 90% of the arable land in Zimbabwe, even after independence for 20 years. So I was always against that. As far as individuals are concerned, and Mugabe is concerned, Mugabe, the public Mugabe and the private Mugabe are two very different things. There's a sense of callousness that has developed in Zimbabwe over the last 30 years, 33 years while he's been the president there. And the fact of the matter is that I've had a lot of things to say about Zimbabwe that were negative. But, it's like if I'm not involved in a controversy, no one comes out to hear what I have to say.
We want to remind our listeners that we're talking to former U.S. Congressman Mel Reynolds, who is currently calling to us from a part of Africa, who has said that He is being pursued by death squads from Zimbabwe, trying to get back to the United States with a visa, and says that he's been denied because he cannot bring his attorney. Why not come back without the attorney, Mel?
No, let me correct that. I don't need a visa to come back. My attorney needs a visa. I'm a U.S. citizen.
Right. Why not just come back without him?
Because he is key to the truth. And it's key to me being able to exercise my full legal rights that are guaranteed to me as a United States citizen under the Constitution. That's why.
So is your attorney also in what you think is considered jeopardy by the Zimbabwe government?
Yes, he is.
And can you tell us?
You see the letter that I sent. They actually went to his home while he wasn't there and said they were investigating him because he was involved in the clandestine activities of Mel Reynolds. If he did not show up to them, he would be arrested.
You referred to the letter, so I shall read it. This is to your attorney that we're not identifying apparently. We suspect that you have been assisting Mel J. Reynolds in his clandestine activities in our country. Report at our offices as soon as you receive this letter, failure of which may seek a warrant of arrest against you, signed Assistant Commissioner. And you sent this to us. I did not get this from the government of Zimbabwe. Are you testifying that this is an accurate copy of this order?
It absolutely is. Unequivocally, it's an accurate copy of it. And they are not denying it. They will deny it if you ask them directly, of course. But this is what Zimbabwe does. Their Central Intelligence Organization operates throughout Africa and even operates in America to a certain extent. So what we're trying to do is just trying to get the truth out as best we can, and that's what we're doing. And yes, that's an accurate copy, and he will be in America, hopefully, to make sure that to verify that. It was addressed to him.
Many of the stories refer to Elsie Higginbottom, who led a delegation of Chicago business people to Zimbabwe in November of 2011. That you were his spokesman, and I'm wondering. Higginbottom said we can assume no responsibility for any comments he made in Zimbabwe. Okay, so I'm wondering.
That was in an article.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
An article from the Mail something, South African newspaper, wasn't it?
This was I'm referring to the Chicago Tribune story of February 18th, but I want to know this: are you referring to Elsie Higginbottom as one of these people that you're talking about?
As I said a little while ago, and I know and I respect what you're asking, but as I said a little while ago, I'm not going to identify anybody until I'm back in Chicago.
All right, former Congressman Mel Reynolds, we thank you for calling in. Please keep us informed and let us know when you're going to be returning.
You guys call me, and I appreciate it. And I'd like to talk to you sometime very soon. And John, have a good column today.
All right, thank you, Mel. We'll talk.